No matter how many years pass, Bart is still causing trouble, Lisa's still playing her sax, and Homer's still dozing off at work.
What? I gotta get out of here!
The Simpsons has been on TV since 1989, yet not a single character has aged a day. But why?
I know, it's weird.
What's the reason behind their never-ending youth? Stay with us as we explore why The Simpsons never get old.
In hell, they make you watch them all in a row.
It all started with a dog and a ruined Christmas. Back in 1989, Simpsons roasting on an open fire aired, and the world meant a grumpy dad, a blue-haired mom, 3 weird kids, and a skinny greyhound named Santa's Little Helper.
It's true!
Forget eggnog or carols. The new holiday tradition was watching Homer blow the family's savings on dog racing. And somehow, that mess became magic.
Doesn't seem possible, but I guess TV has betrayed me.
That one episode kicked off a show that's now been around longer than most marriages, operating on sarcasm, heart, and a lot of bad decisions.
Drive!
Now jump to 2023, the episode Hostile Kirk Place aired, and things were exactly the same.
Never remember, the truth will make you sad.
Bart's still 10 years old and writing on chalkboards like he's got a sponsorship. Lisa's still 8 and fighting climate change while the rest of her family argues over pork chops. Maggie, still a baby, still sucking on the same pacifier that's been through more US presidents than the White House furniture. In a world where phones have gone from bricks to mind readers, The Simpsons haven't changed a pixel. The rest of us have sprinted from floppy disks to TikTok. We've gone from dial-up internet to yelling at Alexa. But in Springfield, time has taken a nap. Why? Not because of fancy skincare, not because of clean living, it's because they're cartoons. Drawn characters don't get crow's feet. They don't need eye cream. They just float through the decades without a wrinkle in sight. Meanwhile, we're over here Googling how much sunscreen is too much.
Today's podcast is a killer bombshell about the killer of the bombshell.
Let's be real, most of us grew up, got jobs, pulled muscle, sneezed, and started caring about fiber. Bart, still dodging homework and skateboarding like it's 1992. Real kids went from pogs to podcasts. Bart didn't even go through puberty. Timeless isn't just a compliment, it's an error that turned into a genius move. They forgot to age the characters, and now it's part of the brand.
There. Now it's all about you. Happy?
Take Homer Simpson. He's been 39 for over 30 years. That's 3 decades of eating donuts like they're vitamins and drinking beer like it's water.
Yeah, it's great.
His heart should have filed a lawsuit by now. Real 39-year-olds are meal prepping and comparing cholesterol numbers. Homer's out here choking on hot dogs and somehow waking up the next day fine.
Gotta go to work early.
It's not aging, it's cartoon science. No matter what he eats, falls off, or runs into, Homer survives. He's basically a squishy superhero.
Another politician who can't keep his promises.
Then there's Marge. She's 36 and holding strong. Her hair alone breaks every law of physics. That blue tower is a miracle of hairspray and hope.
As long as it doesn't involve losing weight or changing my pants.
Marge has cleaned up after a pig. She has raised 3 ungrateful kids and been married to Homer for over 30 seconds and not a single gray hair. Somewhere, a real 36-year-old is whispering, "How?" into their moisturizer.
Don't worry so much, honey. People just want to feel proud of our town.
Bart's been 10 since people used phone books. He's had over 1,800 Sundays of detention. That's enough to qualify as a career criminal. He's the only kid who's been in 4th grade longer than most teachers stay employed.
Let me out! Let me out! This boy has the darkest soul I've ever seen!
He has pulled the same prank calls since the Cold War. Honestly, if he aged like the rest of us, he would have had his own podcast called Skateboarding into Middle School.
Well, Bart, is that enough of a sign for you?
Lisa's still 8, and she's reading philosophy, writing protest signs, and playing jazz like it pays the bills.
I want to jam! I want to scat! I want to riff! I want to get down!
She's the only second grader who could host a TED Talk. Lisa knows more about the environment than most adults, and yet she still gets tucked in before 9 p.m. If any real kid were that smart, they'd be skipped to college or grounded forever. And Maggie, she's a baby, still, a literal infant since the Berlin Wall fell. The pacifier has outlived 3 versions of the iPhone charger. She's seen more political scandals than most journalists and hasn't said a word. The real question isn't when she'll talk, it's how her pacifier hasn't filed for retirement. If you were born after her first appearance, your knees probably crack when you stand up. But Maggie, she hasn't aged a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not just the family stuck in time. The entire town of Springfield is trapped in the same bubble. Mr. Burns has already 140 in 1989. Now, he's 140 and suspiciously well preserved. That man is so old, he probably owes God rent.
Daddy's home.
He was ancient before Y2K and somehow still running a nuclear plant. If he ever aged normally, we'd need a separate spin-off just to track his decay.
Go.
Principal Skinner is still trying to control Bart every single day. At this point, he deserves a medal, a therapist, and possibly witness protection. He's stuck in a forever loop of, please take your seat, Bart, followed by chaos.
Hello? Is Andre there?
Most school principals retire after 20 years. Skinner's been in emotional detention for over 30, and he still shows up with a tie and some optimism. The man's a legend, or a hostage. Milhouse is still allergic to everything, including success. He's been chasing Lisa for so long, even his hopes have moved on. He cries in corners, gets hit with dodgeballs, and somehow never learns.
Come on over, Lisa. You can canvass me as long as you want.
Patty and Selma, still single, still chain smoking, and still turning joy into ash just by entering a room. They've been working at the DMV since phones had cords. Their entire apartment smells like cigarettes and crushed dreams. They haven't changed their outfits in decades, and neither has their attitude. If bitterness had a fan club, they'd be the co-presidents.
Here's to smoking and you. 2 things that'll always be in my heart.
Even the pets haven't aged. Snowball the second has died and come back more times than any cat should be legally allowed to. There was Snowball the third, Snowball the fourth, and then the writers gave up and just called the new one Snowball the second again. Continuity? Not in this town. Santa's little helper is still alive too. That dog has seen more seasons than Game of Thrones and still hasn't learned basic obedience. At this point, he should be applying for doggy social security.
I don't know what that is, but it's not sitting!
One of the weirdest things about living in Springfield is that nobody remembers anything. Not because of brain damage, though that's definitely a factor, but because the town runs on what can only be described as a giant invisible reset button. Every episode of The Simpsons ends like someone hit undo. Homer can walk on the moon, beat aliens, or start a boy band, and by next week, he's screaming at a toaster because it's making the demon noise again. Nobody cares, not even Homer. Every life-altering event just gets shoved into a box labeled, "Shh, that didn't happen." Take the principal and the pauper. This is the episode where we find out Principal Skinner isn't actually Principal Skinner. He's Armin Tamzarian, some random guy who stole a man's name, job, and parking space.
My real name is Armin Tamzarian.
The real Skinner shows up, wants his life back, and the town kinda shrugs. No trial, no press conference, just, let's never talk about this again. And they don't. Identity theft. This kind of memory loss is so normal in Springfield, it's basically a character. Lisa celebrates birthdays and has full-blown existential crises. Bart, perma 10. Maggie sometimes walks, sometimes fights babies. Once saved Homer's life and still no one claps. She's like a tiny superhero with no PR team. Time in Springfield doesn't move forward. It just spins around, falls over, and spills juice on the rug. Even full-on apocalypses get wiped away overnight. Moe's bar has exploded, burned down, and gone hipster. But every Monday, it's back to being a sticky little cave with bad lighting and pickled eggs that predate the internet.
Hey, get the camera off of me. I'm narrating here.
Nobody asks questions. Mo never files a claim. Lenny and Carl walk in like nothing happened. Springfield is basically Groundhog Day if Phil never learned anything and the tacos were always slightly cold. Then there's Marge, who occasionally reminds everyone what year it used to be. She'll say things like, "That was just a few years ago," referring to something that happened before Friends premiered. Whether it's a family road trip, a bear in the kitchen, or Homer inventing a religion, Marge treats it like it happened last week. That's not denial, that's Springfield logic. And nobody ever moves up in life. Bart's been in 4th grade longer than most US presidents serve. At this point, he could teach the class. His chalkboard confessions cover everything from murder to TikTok bans.
How's this for a satisfying ending?
Yet, every week he's back in his seat, cooking up new crimes against authority. Then there's the fashion. Nobody changes clothes, ever, unless it's Halloween or a flashback. Bart's been rocking that orange shirt since Reagan was in office. Lisa's red dress has outlasted 4 wars and half of American Idol. It's not clothing, it's museum-grade cosplay.
Do you really think I want to call attention to myself? Get this thing off of me!
Maggie's onesie is basically a biohazard suit now. It survived explosions, spit-ups, and time itself. Marge's green dress and skyscraper hair, those deserve their own presidential library. Her beehive has more structural integrity than most bridges. Homer's white shirt and blue pants, that's my superhero costume. It says, yes, I'm a mess and I'm okay with that. Even when he shapeshifts into animals or demigods, he somehow ends up back in those same pants. The only time anyone gets a wardrobe change is during Treehouse of Horrors, and even then, it's temporary. By next week, back to business as usual.
Well, at least we still got the liquor.
Meanwhile, the voices slowly age. Dan Castellaneta's Homer sounds slightly more like a dad who needs a chiropractor. Julie Kavner's Marge now sounds like she gargled gravel, but it's subtle, like everyone's aging in dog years and only in their vocal cords. Time marches on for us, but in Springfield, it just kinda jogs in place. Presidents come and go, TikTok trends die, but Bart is still prank calling Mo, who doesn't have caller ID or common sense. The man runs a bar, but can't recognize Bart's voice after 35 years.
Calm down there, Pooh and She-Poo. You can use the restroom.
Technology in Springfield exists in a time loop. They have iPads and smartwatches, but also landlines and floppy disks. Lisa does schoolwork on a tablet, but still gets bedtime stories. The world updates, but the family runs on Windows 95.
World's lamest dork is giant loser. Poop emoji.
Pop culture flies by, and the Simpsons just absorb it. TikTok memes, climate doom, yep, all there, but Bart still says, "Eat my shorts," which is now technically retro.
You'll pay. You'll all pay.
Lisa still cries over jazz, Homer still drinks Duff, keto, kale, kombucha, Duff doesn't care. Watching The Simpsons is like putting solar panels on a house that still has wooden paneling inside. The outside keeps up, but the inside, same furniture, same carpet, same slightly haunted microwave. And somehow it still works. Kind of. That's the secret. The show doesn't grow, it flexes. The world spins around them, not the other way. That's why The Simpsons never get old, because they never really are. They exist in a loop of their own making, a perfect, ridiculous, donut-fuel loop, and as long as Springfield keeps resetting, we'll keep tuning in, because there's comfort in chaos that never changes, even when everything else does. And honestly, that's the magic. They're old, but not. New, but not. They live in a world where you can get a crusty burger, where Mo still picks up prank calls, and where every crisis gets solved in 22 minutes. That kind of consistency is rare. It's not just nostalgia, it's survival. As long as Homer keeps falling down, Lisa keeps questioning authority, and Bart keeps being a menace, we'll keep watching. Because deep down, we all kind of want to live in a world where no one grows up. Bad decisions reset every week, and babies never need to be potty trained. Why do you think The Simpsons never age? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click on the next video on your screen. You will enjoy it.